house?
They ransacked the house and bullied everybody in sight and frightened the wits out of the maid. And so when the children saw Tom Kettle dressed as a British officer, Owen ran screaming, hotly followed by Tom's daughter Betty, who was in the house too. And I imagine he was already sufficiently upset that Francis Skeffington had been shot effectively by one of his colleagues, and to see his daughter running from the uniform that he wore with pride was quite devastating, I imagine.
Tom Kettle was furious with the rebels, believing they'd destroyed Ireland's chances of independence. But he was also sickened by the draconian punishment meted out to them by the British. He predicted, "These men will go down as heroes and martyrs, and I will go down, if I go down at all, as a bloody British officer." The Easter Rising left the British and the Irish nationalists in furious opposition. Tom, allied to both, was in an impossible position. He requested to be sent to the front, to join the men that he had recruited. So he deliberately volunteered for active service?
I think so.
Do you think he thought he would die?
Yes. I don't think he was suicidal, but I think that he didn't expect to come back. I don't know how many people in 1916 did expect to come back.
No. Have you seen these letters which came from the archive? There's the last letter he wrote to his wife, which is in September the 3rd. So again, this is very shortly before he dies. And again, this is just before the Somme. Mm-hmm. And he says it's no longer indiscreet to say that we're to take part in one of the biggest attacks of the war. Many will not come back. I want to thank you for the love and kindness you spent and all but wasted on me. There was never in the world a more dear woman, a more perfect wife, adorable mother. My heart cries for you and Betty. It's very sad, who I may not see again. Tell Betty her daddy was a soldier and died as one. Extraordinary letter, isn't it?
It's very, very sad.
Tom Kettle went into battle on the 9th of September in the Irish Brigade's assault on Grouchy during the Battle of the Somme. The war diary shows the assault on Grouchy to have been a classic Somme story. They're in the trenches, in the front trenches, being given orders to take a first and a second objective. And it records first phase. At the outset, very heavy officer casualties were suffered. And due to the loss of officers, they carried on beyond the second objective. Essentially, there was chaos because the officers were picked out straight away. One of those officers was Tom Kettle. The 9th Royal Dublin Fusiliers casualty list records Lieutenant T. Kettle killed 9th of the 9th, 1916. His body was never recovered. He has no known grave. 3 years after the war's end, partition formally divided Ireland. In Dublin, 1916 was remembered only for the Easter Rising. To have fought in the war that same year, for the British, became almost shameful. Plans for Tom Kettle's memorial in St Stephen's Green became mired in controversy. The authorities in the new Irish Republic didn't like the phrase "killed in France." It smacked too obviously of the First World War, so they settled for "killed at Grouchy." It wasn't until 1937, over 20 years after he was killed, that this statue was unveiled, with no public ceremony, no fuss, very quietly. The inscription is taken from a poem called "To My Daughter Betty," and he wrote it on the Somme on September the 4th, 1916, 5 days before he was killed. Know that we fools, now with the foolish dead, died not for flag, nor king, nor emperor, but for a dream born in a herdsman's shed, and for the secret scripture of the poor. The British Empire and the nationalist cause ended up in bitter conflict. So we ask now, should Tom Kettle have fought for us? But he believed he was fighting for Ireland, and that somehow that could honourably be included in us. And he also believed he was fighting for something bigger, a just war to preserve civilization. Romantic, idealistic, doomed, but surely worthy of remembrance. By 1916, all of Britain's colonies and dominions had suffered enormous losses. Battles such as Gallipoli in Turkey became infamous. There, under British command, the combined Australian and New Zealand forces lost more than 10,000 of their comrades. Throughout the empire, enthusiasm for the conflict was diminished by its terrible toll. But Britain needed more troops. The new Prime Minister, David Lloyd George, recognised that the Empire's contribution demanded a substantial reward. So, on the 19th of December, Lloyd George announced the creation of the Imperial War Cabinet. In exchange for their further commitment to the war effort, the Prime Ministers of the Dominions of Australia, New Zealand, Canada and South Africa, and the Secretary of State for India, would now have a say in how their troops were deployed. And this wasn't just window dressing. In the spring of 1917, the Imperial War Cabinet met 14 times in the space of 6 weeks. For the Dominion troops at the front in France, these meetings had an immediate impact. In April 1917, for the first time in the war, the British gave the Canadians the chance to act together as a single fighting force. Here, in the assault on Vimy Ridge in the Battle of Arras, 4 Canadian divisions went forward together as one. Among the Canadians at Vimy Ridge was Henry Ducky Norwest, an extraordinary soldier whose exploits would become legendary. Henry Ducky Norwest was a Native American, a Cree, and a ranch hand from Alberta. In October 1915, he joined the Canadian Army and became a sniper, hence the nickname. He was just one of more than 400,000 Canadian soldiers who served in the war. Ducky's great-granddaughter, Marilyn Buffalo, is joining me here at Vimy Ridge. It's the first time she's ever been to France. Is there any evidence that he was good with the rifle before he joined up?
You know, to my knowledge, no. But then you would have expected that any Canadian Indian at that time would have been handy with their rifle.
And would it be, I don't want to go into stereotypes, but there's this idea that they're very patient and very cunning as hunters.
You know, I would believe that that be the case. You know, you were expected at that time, you didn't have supermarkets as you have now, that you had to go into the woods and get your own food.
Right.
So...
And so Ducky joined up?
He enlisted the first time.
For the first time?
Well, he had one too many beers, I think, in Wetaskiwin, Alberta.
So he was drunk and disorderly?
He was a little robust in his...
A little robust?
behavior. And was dishonorably discharged.
So then he joined up again?
The second time he re-enlisted under a different name.
Right. Now, you've got his attestation papers here, haven't you?
Yes. The name the first time is Henry Louis. He was listed as a cowpuncher even then.
A cowpuncher, brilliant.
Isn't it great?
And then the second time...
The second time under Henry
Norwest.
Yes.
And is Norwest, that's just a made-up name, isn't it? Because he's from the Northwest.
Well, you know, no one in our family really knows.
Well, what we do have is a surprisingly detailed account by a man called Victor Wheeler, who served with Ducky. And he went and interviewed lots of other soldiers about their memories of Ducky. So we actually know quite a lot about him. And he says Ducky liked to place his shots just under the front of the helmet to see their helmets jump off their heads. I mean, that sounds...